Hello humans, I'm Batsy, and today we are going to be building a workstation underwater. The plan is quite straightforward. I want to make the same machines I have up here, but with a proper setup. I want to use 10 encased fans for each one of them so the rates are the fastest possible. I will also have to find out how viable it is to do things underwater, because yes, many things can be waterlogged, but I'm not entirely sure if everything works the same way. And I really want to have things truly underwater, not just in an air pocket. But before any of that, let me give you all a quick recap of everything that happened between episodes. I visited 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬 because they are doing stuff with enchantment industries. I gave them all of my books so they could copy them, and use them on their setup. And of course, in exchange for that, they enchanted some of my gear a little bit. Nothing too crazy, just to have a fortune pickaxe, mending on my gear so I don't break it, and a silk touch tool in case I need it. Later on, I also got my riptide trident enchanted, and a secondary fishing rod to get fish instead of treasures. I'm still missing a few pieces here and there, but what I have is way more than enough. After enchanting the gear, I went for another mining trip, but I also took the chance to explore the underwater archaeology sites. The blocks added by this mod are fairly more obvious than in vanilla, at least the underwater ones anyway. It's like a dirt block, but there are bone remains half buried underneath. I have not done any digging in vanilla, so I'm unsure if the loot tables are any similar. In here, I was mainly getting either bones or bone meal, and every once in a while I was able to find the special fossils added by the mod. From the underwater sites, I was able to collect the 2 pieces for the guardian fossil. I believe this is the only one I have read about, and it should give underwater breathing if I'm not mistaken. It honestly looks really amazing though. Oh, that is the wrong way. Let's try from this angle instead. That honestly doesn't look connected at all. It seems to be lying on the floor instead of being hooked to the guardian's head. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea how is this meant to be used. Wait, there is a completed fossil too. Yeah, it has to be crafted. In my head, I thought I would have to put the fossils together or something. I guess this makes it easier anyway. Let's try again. Yes, see, now it looks properly assembled. I really like it though, they did an amazing job with the model and all, this is proper spooky. Now the question is, does it give water breathing as I think it does? I guess so, my water breathing effect isn't going down. The area of effect looks incredibly tiny though. Or never mind, maybe it doesn't give water breathing after all. It could have been the chest plate that was still in effect. Oh wait, it does, water breathing is back. Okay, but that is the tiniest area in history, no? Yeah, no kidding. I'm honestly not sure what this can be used for, it's barely a couple of blocks from the fossils. At least the model is super cool to look at, it will make for amazing decorations. Some time later. Well, I finally died. And it was a murder, an unjustified murder. A crime and discrimination against small people. I wasn't recording, but you can see the number of deaths is at 1. Time since the last death? A bit over half an hour ago. I went to visit Rocket because they shared on Discord a screenshot of this massive cow. I thought was a really fun build so I came to check it in person. I was here inside their base. I went outside to check on the cow, and noticed that the legs had an entrance. Right now there is wood in there, but the legs had a hole that went up the cow's leg. So I came this way, and I was looking up at the hole in the leg. I was trying to see if there was a way up. I assumed that the idea was to use the cow for something. Obviously, at this point, you might have realized what happened. I was so focused on looking up, that I didn't notice the massive drop underneath. From above this block, the gap is pretty obvious, anyone would have seen that. But from my height, and especially if you are looking up like I was, it's really hard to notice. It was murder, such discrimination towards short people. Also kinda my fault for being nosy, and also for not looking at where I was stepping. But never mind that, it was murder. As per my own rules, the cost per death is 9 diamonds, which is the same cost that the hardcore mod will have later on. Someone also mentioned that I could give the diamonds away instead of just burning them. So I will be placing them on the chest offering for the snake deities. What a dumb way to die. Let's go back to more productive stuff. Oh, by the way, did you notice any difference? We no longer have a massive infestation of elephants and lions. I removed the respawn mod, and purged the server of the existing ones, at least near spawn and the player bases. We will have to walk a bit further away to find an elephant now, but it had to be done. It got so bad that it started to affect the server. And while we are here, look at this, doesn't it look awesome? Wolfie has spent some time at spawn decorating it, and making it look amazing. I love how the portal blends with the terrain. The benches and the cute little details everywhere. Oh, and this board that counts the amount of deaths people have. They told me that apparently, you can register deaths by using a display link on a respawn anchor, which I thought was really cool. I know that there is a display link underneath the clock, which is giving the time on the board. But I have no idea where the anchor might be. I guess it could be hidden anywhere. They also added these awesome trees. Free cam should show this much better. Look at it, it's so amazing. They now look like they support the platform, unlike the tiny pillars I made that look skinny and ridiculous. They fit so well in the area. And there is more stuff added to it. We have more trees and cute benches all over the place. I personally love how the lamp posts look with diagonal fences. It honestly gives more variations to what normally would be the exact same all the time. Then we have the bridge and everything, which looks really nice. I'm honestly really happy with how all of this looks. I think they did an amazing job at it. Now, let's go back to base. I have stuff I want to be building. I think I haven't shown the enchantments yet. Boots, the usual stuff, just missing protection. Chest plate, just mending to prevent it from breaking. A riptide trident. If you only have one trident, better be a riptide for faster movement. Pickaxe, obviously with fortune 3 for extra ores, a looting sword for extra drops, and a silk touch pick. A random axe for trees, and a new lure rod I'm using to get fishes instead of treasure. I still have the main fishing rod with all the enchants on it. I'm only using the other rod because I have this quest about getting tropical fish, which gets increasingly hard the more luck you have in the rod. While I'm here, I wanted to re-roll this mission because it's super easy, but also gives little coins. I don't think it's worth it to be honest. Let's see what we can get. Gather by washing, 900 of them. Of what? Look like dough. 900 of them though. Why would I even want 900 dough? That's so silly. Yeah, this is the same one I had before. This still isn't worth it. Be a passenger on a train for 6 kilometers. Okay, that's a no. Gather of by cutting. Some weird copper blocks. I mean, it's not too many, just 350, and copper is easy to get. Let's see, how does one make that block anyway? It might just be one of the chipped variants or something. Okay, there it is. Oh, that's it? Well, that's super cheap. I can easily make 300 of these. Put them in the filter. And let's try a few of them to make sure it counts. Yeah, it counts just fine. Alrighty, there goes the rest. Just need to wait for a long while until that's done. Once I complete those 2, I will be collecting all of the rewards in one go. See how many coins I end up getting. This week I have done them all, so it better be worth it, because I can still be unfortunate and get the lowest amounts on all of them. Now let's go be productive. I have crafted a bajillion items for the workstation. Some of these items I won't be using them yet, and others, I have way more than I need. I just think it's better to have a little bit of excess when it comes to create components. It can be annoying to go back to crafting more stuff while in the middle of building something. I'm also planning on making the storage of each station with these gold barrels, at least for the time being. They were pretty cheap to craft, just required some iron and gold. It has a massive amount of storage capacity, so that's gonna be enough for a long while. This is still going, it's gonna take a long while to finish. I tell you what, I'm gonna be working on the workstation in the meantime. There is no reason to be staring at a mechanical saw. I started by clearing the area a little bit. In doing so, I also learned an issue while working underwater, which is that everything goes floating everywhere. Then I jumped straight into building the smelting station. The idea is to have an encased fan blowing towards the depot from all directions, and the block on top of the depot counts too, since the item that will be placed on the depot will count as being in both blocks. This is something I have done in the past, but obviously, never underwater. In hindsight, I should have started with an easier one to get the feeling of building in this environment before jumping into the hardest station of the 4. But now it's too late for that anyway. After almost burning alive placing the lava, I changed the pace a little bit by building the steam engine. Something that I have realized during this project is that, even if you have a decent understanding of how fluids work in Minecraft, it still has a learning curve, and it takes a bit of time to get used to it. You need to figure out ways in which you can break the flow of the water, and especially to prevent the water from spreading. Water sources converting adjacent blocks into more water sources has been one of the hardest challenges so far. The problem with the campfires is that they can be waterlogged, and thus, become a water source. I had to try several times until I came up with a combination of blocking the sides of them with full blocks, and the back with trapdoors. With time and practice, I think that it's starting to get easier, but it still requires a lot of trial and error. The rest of the steam engine has proven to be incredibly simple. This part is especially true underwater. All I had to do was make sure that the pumps weren't adjacent to one another, so all the blocks remained as water sources. But powering said pumps was a bit more tricky. I think it's always a good idea to have an external source to power the pumps. Otherwise, you suffer the risk of having to jumpstart the engine every time that the chunk doesn't unload properly. The reason why that became tricky underwater is because, well, the alternatives are windmills and water wheels. I went for the latter because, adding windmills underwater, even if somehow they ended up working, felt like a silly proposition. The annoying part is that later on, I thought it would have been super cool if instead of a windmill I just built it as a water turbine. Which, aesthetically it's not too far off from a fan anyway, and it would fit perfectly. I might revisit this idea for another episode. Knowing where the power supply was gonna be, I decided to lay down the main shafts, so I could have an idea of how to organize everything else. And having done that once already, repeating the same process was a whole lot easier, especially when dealing with campfires instead of flowing lava. I just had to spread the shafts in the same pattern as the first one, connect every encased fan in its place, and build the same glass box surrounding it. Then I figured that the easiest way was to empty the water of the box from underneath, and work my way from top to bottom with the campfires. Something else that I learned is that, it's actually a bit weird having to constantly keep yourself at the right level. While underwater, you are constantly going down to the ocean floor, so you need to constantly spam the spacebar to keep yourself afloat. I could use the Neptunian leggings to prevent that, but the problem with those is that, you lose the lateral speed that you would have otherwise, so the only way to move is to swim. Think of it like creative flight, but you move at 5% of the speed unless you use the sprint button every time. I might try it out anyway, and see if I can get used to it. because having to constantly spam the spacebar is getting a bit tiring on my thumb. At this point I was quite used to it, so it took me no time to repeat the same process for the last 2 stations. At this point you might be wondering how I was going to place items in the depot if it's completely surrounded. And of course, it has to do with mechanical arms. I mean, there is really no other way to do it, and it's also the easiest way of moving items between inventories anyway. As I mentioned before, I also went for the gold barrels, since those give a metric ton of storage. Given that it takes some seconds to process each stack, it's still gonna take a few minutes to go through the entire barrel. In case that wasn't enough, I also have an idea to use Tom's simple storage to connect each one of those stations to a central storage system. I want to have a way to flush items from each one of the workstation segments into a main storage, while keeping the station storage at the same time. Because, what if you are just doing some quick crafts, and every time you go to a station, all of the items get sent to the main storage, then you need to move all the way there, and then retrieve the items you want. That's just too much work. But, in case I don't want to use the barrels, I want to make the flush system to be able to remain active, not just a single time flush. That way, I can dump items to get smelted and forget about it. I have been testing out the stations, but for some reason, they don't seem to be working. The arms are able to input the items into the depot just fine, but after that, the items just stay there indefinitely. They aren't burning or anything, they just remain there. I have been making sure that the airflow is going in the right direction, but I can't really seem to find what could be wrong here. The washing part seems to be working though, so I wonder why the rest isn't. I'm starting to believe that maybe the waterlogged depots are messing it out, or somehow because I'm underwater it's getting confused maybe. It sounds more like conspiracies than any real logic. I figured out what was the problem, and it was of course the airflow. I was so focused on making sure that the top side was flowing in the right direction, that I completely forgot to check the single encased fan at the bottom of it. Apparently, that was enough to screw up the system, so in case you're going to use this idea in your base, do make triple sure that all of them are blowing in the right direction. The way I check it is by using the FreeCam mod. Do make sure that the camera movement is set to creative flight. This way the force of the fans will move your camera around, and you can make sure it's going the right way. You can see how the bottom one is sucking me in, instead of blowing me towards the depot. This is what was causing the problems before. All I had to do was get myself a gearbox, and replace the back shaft with it. The mechanical arm is finally pulling the item that was stuck there forever. While we are here, might as well show you all how the rest are working, even though it's pretty much the exact same setup anyway. Some raw salmon in the bottom chest. And we wait a few seconds to get cooked. The second arm moves it back into the barrels. And we have ourselves a stack of freshly smoked salmon. The funniest part is that the mechanical arms are slower than what it takes the stack of items to get processed. Even though I think this setup looks really cool, I'm going to be decorating it a little bit. I want it to look properly finished. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with this water wheel here, or the steam engine for that matter. But, I have a pretty solid idea of how I want the rest to look, and it's the theme that I'm going to carry for the rest of the underwater city, so editor Batsy, cue the time-lapse. And there we have it, the workstation is finally done, and it looks so amazing. I really love the theme I went for. I will put on screen the reference picture I used as inspiration. My idea moving forward is to build with this cyan/light blue as the base color. Have the dark prismarine and other darker tones as the shadows. And then use brass for the highlights of the builds. For other things like a house, or any non-industrial building, I will be using quartz to complement it, and some gold to replace the brass for the highlights. That way it will give away that it's a more rich area, and not an industrial part of the city. As for the workstation itself, I did some minor changes off camera to make it more efficient. I added a speed controller up here so I can turn down the speed to 1. That way, encased fans now only consume 2 stress units, while they still reach the central depot. And for the mechanical arms, there is another speed controller underneath all of this, that is set to 256 RPM, which unfortunately, also powers up the bottom fan, so that one is also set to max speed. I wasn't able to separate them, not without changing too many things from the design, but that makes sure that the setup is as fast as it gets. I wanted to do more on the workstation, but sadly, I have been dealing with a lot of server management this week, so the video dragged for quite a while, and I pretty much ran out of time. For the next episode, I'm thinking about adding the crushing and crafting segments, and I'm not sure if also starting a storage area, or adding one of the farms I badly need. Honey, for example, I need honeycombs to craft certain copper blocks that I wasn't able to use for the workstation. What do you think I should do next? Finish the workstation and add some storage so I have more than a couple of random chests? Or make a new farm? Let me know in the comments, and smash that like button while you're there, it helps promote the video. Take care everyone, and I will see you all in the next one. Build with copper, they said. It's going to be fun, they said. Blimey, this takes forever to smelt. Next time I'm building with pure stone and cobblestone.